Hello, and welcome to the Thrive Mindset Podcast. I am so glad you are here with me. My name is Carrie Dahle, and I am your host. I am an entrepreneur, author, podcaster, manifester, and motivator. And I am on a mission to empower you to create the life of your dreams. If you are looking to up-level your life, relationships, finances, productivity, and success, you have come to the right place. I will share with you tools, resources, strategies, my failures, and my successes that have all helped me achieve the life of my dreams. It is my goal with this podcast to help you see your potential and empower you to create the life of your dreams. So let's get to it. Well, welcome to the Thrive Mindset Podcast. I'm Carrie Dahle, your host, and today I have Dr. Tiffany McBride with me, and she's many things actually. She is a doctor in psychosomatic spiritual studies and many, many other things, including a life coach, an energy master, teacher, a birth and a death doula, and so much more, which we'll talk about with her today. But she also runs a private practice named Holistic Vibrations. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you so much for having me, Carrie. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you and excited to have this chat. And, I think we talked about this before, but I really do believe that stories are what connect us all. And I believe you've written actually four for different books. Is that right? Five? Okay,
Like
five.
5'7", who knows?
Okay. So I know you're a master of storytelling. And that being said, would you just share your story of how you came to be who you are now?
Okay. Wow. Do we have like 3 hours? No.
Well, whatever version of it you want to share, whatever, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'd love to share it. It's been a lifelong journey so far. And so, I think I'll start at the beginning. One thing is that, I made a very early decision when I was 13 years old to become a therapist. And why I became a therapist is because I had such a hard childhood. I had a lot of trauma happen to me, and I didn't have anybody there. And so I really made the commitment of like, I'm really going to show up for people because I haven't had that. And so it really was about me, though. It was really about me finding myself. And so when I was into self-help books since I was a teenager. I went into like psychology into school, and I got my master's, and I began working in the field. And so I was like in my late 20s. I'm 41 now. And I started working with the foster care, DCFS I've worked with. I worked with some really troubled teens in residential homes, worked in a mental health community for a long time. And what I was starting to notice was I wasn't really trained for the real world. Like we were trained in school, but we were not trained for the experiences that you're going to have in that mental health field. And it was hard. I got burnt out many, many, many times. And I didn't feel like I was really helping anybody by just doing talk therapy. And so, it was 2016, and I was in a community-based, mental health place. And I started reading this book called The Body Keeps the Score by Vanderkolk. And it changed my whole entire life. I found out at that moment that I had complex PTSD. And I had been trying to figure this out, throughout my whole schooling and my career so far. And here was this book that was just explaining everything I was ever going through. And he talks in that book about how talk therapy doesn't work for trauma. You have to go into a different part of the brain, and it looks differently. And so he presented all these modalities, which I had already started working and training in, because I was really interested in EMDR. And so I got trained in that, and energy healing, and started doing like drum community circles and all that stuff. And he talks about like how healing this is. And so I left community-based healing in 2017, and I started my own practice, holistic vibration. And why holistic vibration is because I really truly believe that we have the healing power to heal ourselves within our body. We just don't know how to access it, or we don't know how to, like, get there. And it's simple things, very simple things. And so I started working with non-ordinary states of consciousness because that had really been seen throughout my research and everything, that was really helping people with trauma. And so I went and got my doctorate and I wrote my own program. And now I'm in this process of actually building a healing center and a training center, and gathering a team. So that's like the very short version of it. But like, I started my own, private practice in 2017. And a lot of it was me healing myself too. And then we had COVID and things kind of shifted. We went online, and it was hard to actually do some of the things that I wanted to do, like, energy healing or the community circles that we were having. And so I'm really excited because now we're at this place where we're kind of coming out of that COVID fog.
Yeah.
And people are really needing this medicine, especially right now with how everything's going in our country. I also am an expressive artist, so that's a really big part of trauma recovery as well. And so I sing, and I'm a painter and a graphic artist and all this stuff. And I just started a creative arts recovery program, and I'm getting people involved in that. And so it's just blossomed, and I've gotten so much training. Like I got my birth doula, and I've gotten a death doula, and I've been there for people that have passed, and I got my shamanic psychotherapy, all that. I mean, I just been training for this moment to, I think, come to this time where I'm ready to take everything that I've learned and build something bigger. So
That's
that's kind of like my story.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. And I'm really curious because healing yourself, I mean, to me that I don't know. To me that seems extremely challenging, right? So, can you share more of how you were able to do that for yourself?
Sure. Yeah. I started doing talk therapy when I was 19,
Hmm.
and pretty much been in therapy since then. So almost 20 years. I mean, over 20 years I've been in therapy. But um, like I was saying, talk therapy wasn't doing it for me. And so it was about 10 years ago, 10 and a half years ago, I started losing weight. I was really, really overweight. I started getting into nutrition and yoga and oils, like essential oils, and just kind of tapping more into meditation and spirituality. And that really shifted things for me. That really woke me up to, oh, I have to heal myself so I can help other people.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I didn't know how that looked either. And really, in my latest chapter in Shaman Heart 3, I talk about this. I talk about how I was being called to heal myself so that I could show up for other people. But I was like, I don't know what that even looks like. And so it became a journey of like finding little gems here and there. And so, like, I got into Reiki and energy healing, and I did, training in EMDR, and started getting into understanding polyvagal theory and internal family systems and how that works for me, and started getting somatic therapists, and I have an internal family systems right now therapist. And so those were starting to help me a lot. And those were the modalities that really, start to help trauma. But what really has helped me a lot is being in community based healing. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so Healing retreats or groups or communities that are meant to do these deep healing like workshops and retreats. And so I started doing that, and I started doing breathwork journeys, shamanic breathwork journeys, Toltec breathwork journeys, all this stuff. And I met so many people. And it was in those relationships that I started really doing a lot of healing from trauma, because a lot of my trauma comes from relationships.
Mm.
And not knowing how to have relationships, or not knowing how to even resolve conflict or anything like that. And so community has just been a really great way to find safety and to be loved just as I am, which I never got as a kid. And that started, I think, the biggest healing thing for me. And so I started doing these retreats, and then I started doing these retreats across the world. And so I've been Peru and Mexico and Ireland and Egypt, and I've done these books, and I feel like it just keeps happening. It's just like, I'm just like, okay, I'm good. I'm ready. Let's do something else. And the universe just kind of puts something in front of me, and I'm like, okay, let's do it. And it's been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's been amazing because I'm not the same person I was 10 and a half years ago. I'm totally different. But it's been a lot of different things that have really helped me. But mostly it's been community that's been my saving grace.
So if you were just some random person on the street listening to this today, and they're thinking, okay, I just want to start down this path. Like I'm not sure where to go. Like what is the biggest tool or direction you could point them?
Well, I'm always available. So they can reach
Yes, yeah,
out to
yeah,
me
yeah, yeah. But as
at
far as
any
like a
time.
starting place, like a starting place within you, where would you start, right?
It's different for everyone, I think.
Okay.
I think that's why there's so many different types of healing modalities. But really what started with me is journaling.
Okay.
Very simple. It's just, you start just writing this, like, all the thoughts that you're having in your head. No judgment, just kind of just letting it all out.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes a tool to start self-counseling, self-healing yourself. And you'll start to see that as you keep writing, you'll start to see the loops and the conditions and the thinking that you constantly are in. And it just brings awareness. And I think number one is awareness. And
Mm-hmm.
so journaling is great. Meditation's a really great way, but sometimes meditation can be really hard for people to
Mm-hmm.
start. So I would say journaling is a really great way to start.
I love that. Well, you're speaking to my heart because that's all I love to do. But but then I also you were talking about community and as you're sharing your own journey, all I could think about was Stephanie, who's the lead author in Shamanic. Is that how you guys connected?
Yeah, I started connecting with a group here in my capital in Illinois, and it's the Ahara community, a spiritual community, and it's with Carly Matamore and John Malin and Ruth Souther.
Mhm.
And I met Stephanie through them, and so they're my main community. But Stephanie and Freedom Folk and Soul has become my second family, for sure. And how to start with that? Like, that's hard. This is the hardest thing. A lot of people are struggling with finding community,
Yeah.
and finding safe community, a place where they can really feel okay to be themselves. And that's been hard to find. And I think right now, more than ever, we need it. And so I tell people, you know, start slow, because some people have a lot of trauma and some people are really scared of other people, and it takes time. But maybe meetup groups, or finding events on your Facebook of a yoga studio, or like a spiritual place. I often talk about the Unitarian Church, to go there. If there's a spiritual community in your area, try that out. I would say those are the first ways that you can start trying to see if you can find your tribe.
Yeah, you're right. It's so important to find that safe space because like for me, I know I've done breath work many different times, but I will say that the safest and most impactful time that I ever experienced it was actually with Stephanie. There was a security there, right? There was something that felt very different than the other ones where I could just kind of let myself experience. And, I think for a lot of people, this is a little woo, it's a little out there. They're like, oh my God, I'd rather just go to therapy. But
Yeah.
there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
Do you want to share more about what you've written with A Shaman's Heart or the other books or
So a lot of the books have been a really healing salve for me to talk about my story, about the traumas that I've been through and what I've learned from them and what, I've grown from them. I kind of want to talk about what you were just mentioning about, having safe space with Stephanie.
Absolutely.
Um, what I have run into in the past are people that don't have integrity and in it, they're not in it for the real thing, for the love, right? And I got burnt a lot by people that used me, took advantage of me, really like spiritually traumatized me. And so when I approached, when I got into the spiritual community here and with Stephanie, what I really loved about my leaders was they were so authentic. They were real. They were like me, and their stories were like mine.
Mhm.
And their light and their compassion, their like mama energy is so evident. Like it's just in the way that they live and then how they love and how they carry through things. And so I really want to be like that. And that was something that like Stephanie is one of my biggest role models. I
Yeah.
love her. She's just amazing. And I was just like, I really want to be like this. I want to be authentic. I want to be real. I want to be vulnerable because I really felt like that was what healed me the most. And I know that's what helps people to feel more safe and actually brings in that healing too. So I just wanted to talk about that because it's so true. It's like these shamamas have come into my life and just really loved me back to myself.
Yeah, I think that's just beautiful and I love that. But I think there's also so many amazing things about you that it makes you different and individualistic from Stephanie or others. All right. I mean, the art, I'm sitting here looking behind you at the pictures on the wall, and I'm thinking that's got to be a big part of it. So how does art play into this for you?
Yeah. Well, so I've always been into music. So since I was a little girl, I was a singer, and it was something that always calmed me down. And I loved dancing, when I was younger. So arts were really a place that I could escape to really be in my own little world because my real world was not very happy and safe. And so it's just grown since then. Like, I've really grown my music talents of like I play guitar, ukulele, and drums and piano. And then I got into, ecstatic dancing. And then, man, it was actually just a few years ago that I found out that I was an artist. I talk about this with people like as you continue to heal and unlayer things, it's interesting how much creativity starts coming out. And so I just started to paint. And then I was like, oh, I'm actually okay. I'm really good. And then I started to like, and do other things. I always was into collage and like, scrapbooking, booking and stuff, and car baking, and I make candles. Like I'm just such a creative place or person. And then I just started doing digital artwork, about a year or two, and I've done a few book covers for people.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so it's just exploded. But the thing is it really is my place to escape. As a psychotherapist, and as things are really hard in the world right now, it's my place where I go to release my stress and anxiety and just tap back into my body and remind myself that I'm safe, and just tap into this universal creative energy that just feels like heaven to me. So that's how art and music and dancing has become a part of me. It's really my coping skills. It's my tools that I use to live and to be sane in this world. Yeah.
I'm totally imagining like you just dancing it out when you're stressed. I love that because I was thinking as you were talking, like what would you tell other people to you keep mentioning things like the world right now, and yeah, it's tough. It's tough for a lot of people. And there's got to be ways to release that and not hold on to it. And I'm curious what resources, what tools, which direction you point people in when they're in that, yeah, that funk.
Yeah. Well, if we want to talk about dancing,
Hmm.
it's hard at first.
It is.
Some people are just like, how do I move my body? And sometimes we might notice that we're really rigid when we're trying to dance, or we may feel really self-conscious. But if you can really just listen to the music and like, I think shaking your body, just shake it out. Just shake it out. Start there. Like, really just start moving your body a little bit. And if you don't even, you're like, I don't know how to dance, if you just want to flow, you know, so that's one thing, like, just starting with dancing, but with music, so singing is a really awesome medicine. And so when we're stressed out, our nervous system is in fight flight. And we have these bundle of nerves in the back of our like at the bottom of our brain stem. And it's called the vagus nerve. And this bundle of nerves wraps around all our main organs, and it pretty much regulates our nervous system. Either it doesn't regulate it or it does.
Hmm.
What we want to do as humans, we want to activate it. And so what happens when we activate that vagus nerve is that we calm our nervous system down.
Hmm.
We send signals to our body saying, oh, it's calm, it's okay, and then we can switch into that rest and digest. So I talk about humming and singing a lot because that instantly activates your vagus nerve. And then it releases oxytocin, which is the love chemical, into your brain. And you can probably get yourself out of any kind of nervous anxiety, hard time at that moment just by vibrating a sound out of your body. Singing is great. Listening to music can do the same thing. It activates that vagus nerve. So those are small things that I think a lot of people do already. Like, get in your car, blast out that music, start singing. You're going to feel great. You're going to feel great after that
I
session.
was I was actually that's really funny because I was totally thinking about that as you were talking about it, and I thought, God, I mean, how many people, you're right, that are uncomfortable with dancing or whatever, and I thought, well, where am I most comfortable doing stuff like that? And I thought, well, in my car, because I will turn the music up and then I'll be singing, and then I'm just like, moving around, or when I'm home just cooking by myself or whatever, and I mean, who cares? Nobody's watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
dog.
And they love it.
Yeah,
Let
exactly.
me dance with you, Mom.
Well, and when my kids and husband are around, they laugh. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
it does. It makes the mood totally lighter. Totally lighter. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how we can move energy, like
Mm.
any kind of dense, low energy from singing or dancing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and then I think too about my kids. I have four kids, and my youngest has always been my dancer, my mover, and then he became this adult, and all of a sudden he thought he had to stop.
Hmm.
And he's 21 now, but he's slowly finding his way back to that because I'm like, that's a part of you. Like that's who you are. What made you think that that had to go away?
Um,
So, and I love that you're pointing out that that's such an important thing.
it is. Well, and what happens with society and conditioning is that we're supposed to stop acting like a kid or being a kid. and we leave our inner child behind, which is really who we are.
Mm.
And, it happens a lot. And this is actually what the Artist Way class I'm doing is uncovering that, hidden artist, the inner child that hasn't been able to play or to create or has, been blocked by all these conditioning.
Mm.
Because when we can release that, when we can continue to be that, that's how we live. Like that's where our bright light comes from, is that creativity and dancing. So hopefully he gets back into it.
I think he is. What do you think changes in people when they go back to embracing that?
Well, so it's interesting because a lot of times there's a resistance and there's blocks, and it's really hard to access the inner child because there's so much hurt.
Mm.
I have this analogy where I talk about how, we're all these lights. So let's say we have a candle, and I'm a lit a candle here. This is my inner child. And what I say is that life starts putting shit on you. So it's like poop. Here's somebody's trauma. Here's someone's expectations of you, and here's conditioning, and so we just get all the shit piled on top of this candle. And what happens to that light is it goes out. And so what we have to do is we have to uncover it. We have to shovel that shit out with trauma work. And it's not easy and it's hard. And we're going to have to face that criticism, that trauma, that belief system that's really hard to get rid of, so that we can find that candle again and relight it. And so the process is it can be hard. The inner child might be really wounded. And so we talk about that. And so we're starting to uncover that and challenge these limited beliefs that we've thought about ourselves, like, oh, I can't do this, or I can't be this. And what eventually happens as we continue, we start to feel more freer. We feel more joy. We have the capacity to hold more joy. That's what really trauma healing is about. It's not healing the trauma. It's actually having the capacity to hold more joy in our body. And so, and when we can tap into that creativity, that's a life force. I think it really is how we create from life or for life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little bit about approaching inner child healing.
That actually really excites me because I am a huge believer in energy, and that the energy that we are putting out is the energy we receive. And I'm a huge proponent of manifesting the things you want in this world. And that's such an important piece, right? If you are in this funk, you're going to draw more funk to you. Whereas if you are putting out joy and excitement and love, it's amazing the things that come to you without any effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot of clients, will I'll be in session with them for maybe a year or more, and the same situation just keeps coming back around. And they're like, why does this keep happening? Why is this always happening? And I'm just like, there's that piece of shit that we haven't uncovered yet. And once we can, that's going to free you. It's going to free your energy, that you can hold more light, more joy in that place that was holding that pattern. It's really interesting. Like, energy is real. Like, when it comes to like belief systems and having trauma, it really is interesting how energy is drawn to us when we're in the same place. Like, and it's interesting to see my clients as they break free and the pattern stops, how they level up.
Mm-hmm.
And then new things come in for them, or something different comes in for them, or they meet a different person. It's just so interesting how healing works in that way with the energy.
Yeah. Oh, I love every bit of this. God, there's so much we could talk about, but I don't want to waste your time, and I want to be mindful of that. So, is there anything that's on your mind that we haven't chatted about that you'd love to share today?
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So one of the biggest things that I help people with is understanding their truth.
Mm.
So what that means is like, have you, you've heard of intuition. You've heard of that small, still voice, the source that comes from within, right? And one thing that I do is when we uncover this poop, the stuff that doesn't work, we're learning, oh, that's not true for me. Like that conditional belief, that trauma lens, that's not true for me. What's true for me now? And so I teach people about the difference between anxiety and intuition. And I just recently went to Ireland, and I'm going to be doing a author's journey in Ireland in September. And I loved it there. It was so beautiful. It was amazing and so magical. And when I stepped onto Ireland, this creative child came out of me. This poet, the storyteller, the singer, all came out of me. And I got to go back to a place where I forgot about, which was really deeply in my roots. And I came home to myself. And I really got to hear myself, because I got to get away from everything that was in this country and work and stuff like that, and just really listen. And so I'm offering this opportunity for other people to come with me in September this year. And it's going to have a book included. And the book is called The Alchemy of Intuition: Embodied Practices to Access Your Inner Voice. And I have 10 spots left. So we're looking for people. We're halfway through being full, but we still have spots. But this is going to be an alchemical transformative journey for whoever comes. And what I mean by alchemy is following the Jungian, Carl Jung. He has like a 4-stage ideal of what alchemy is. And so we'll be going through that. We'll go through the process of death and letting go of things that don't serve us, nor that poop we have to shovel out. And so we're going to get rid of some of that. And purification is the second step. So we're just going to grieve and honor, all the things that kept us back, or all the things that have been hard to let go of, and grieve that, because, there's pain and suffering in that. And also just burying it and honoring it. And then we go through this like rise of consciousness where, now that we kind of have gotten rid of some of that stuff, we're able to see, or maybe we're able to hear, we're able to access a different part of ourselves to understand who we are. And then we go through the alchemy, which is the transformation, turning lead into gold. And so it's a very short version of what alchemy is, but after you get home from Ireland, it's going to unfold as you just did in the beautiful magic of Ireland. It's unfolding for me now still. So that's coming up, and I wanted to kind of offer that and let people know that we're looking for people for, a book and a journey in Ireland, and we're going to be going to some amazing places. And so, yeah, we're just looking for new people. I just wanted to kind of put that out there.
Girl, you offer so much. I hope that everyone's listening today, that they check out the show notes, because I will have your contact information in there, your website, all the things, because whether it is going to Ireland with you or just connecting and working through some trauma, which we all we all can need, I believe you are this safe space, and that you have this love and joy to bring to this world. So I just encourage others to meet you and experience you. And I hope I get to spend more time with you in the future. And thank you. Thank you for being here today and chatting with me.
Thank you so much for inviting me and asking me to come on and seeing me, Carrie. I really appreciate it. And I do look forward to having more discussions with you.
We will for sure. Well, I hope that you enjoyed the conversation with Tiffany as much as I did. She is really an amazing human being. So check her out, visit her, see how she can help you. I think there's a lot that she has to offer in this world. And above all else, remember that I believe in you, and you can manifest the life of your dreams.